Having said that, he grabbed his coat and rushed out, leaving me alone in the empty room at dawn, with agonizing abdominal pain and despair engulfing me like a tide. I leaned against the wall and moved step by step to the roadside, trying to flag down a taxi. I am her husband. Save her child first. The cold wind scraped my face like a knife, and the throbbing pain in my lower abdomen became more and more intense. Just when I thought I was going to die on the roadside, a car stopped. The cold metal gurney crashed through the operating room door. My vision blurred from blood loss, but Michael's voice was so clear, so piercing, like a poisoned ice pick, stabbing viciously into my heart. The her he spoke of was not me, but Chloe. The her child he spoke of was not the child about to be born in my womb, but Chloe's son, Leo, whose father is unknown. A gentle male voice sounded, "Miss, are you okay? Do you need any help?" I could feel the blood still gushing out from under me, staining the white sheets red, sticky and cold. The midwife shouted anxiously, "Postpartum hemorrhage. Immediate surgery is needed. Where are the family members? We need a family member to sign." Michael, my husband, was standing a few meters away, busy with Chloe, a woman he had only known for a few months, and her son. He even emphasized to the doctor, "I am Chloe's husband. I will take all responsibility." He signed the disclaimer for Leo's surgery, but me, his wife of 3 years, he wouldn't even spare a glance. It was David, a complete stranger I didn't know at all. Without a word, he helped me into the car and rushed me to the hospital as quickly as possible. My water broke at 3 in the morning. I curled up in bed in pain, nudged Michael awake, my voice distorted. "Michael, I'm going into labor. Hurry me to the hospital." He was still half asleep, glanced at his phone, and his brows furrowed instantly. "Chloe's son has a persistent high fever. It seems serious. I have to go and check on him." I couldn't believe my ears. "Michael, my water broke. Are you going to leave me to take care of someone else's child right now?" He waved his hand impatiently. "Call a ride-hailing service first, or have your parents come over. The situation with Leo is urgent. Chloe can't handle it alone as a woman." I was immediately wheeled into the delivery room. Michael didn't show up until half an hour later. He still had Chloe's usual perfume scent on him. His hair was a little messy, but his face had a hint of relief after anxiety. Clearly, Chloe's son Leo had been properly taken care of. He saw me and asked a perfunctory question. "How is it going?" Before I could answer, the nurse hurried out, calling Chloe's name, saying Leo needed emergency surgery. Michael immediately followed. Thus, there was the scene at the beginning. My husband chose another woman and her child when I was on the verge of death. The labor process was exceptionally difficult. The excruciating pain and blood loss made me faint several times. I felt like I could hear the Grim Reaper's footsteps. In a haze, I seemed to hear Chloe's voice outside. "Doctor, take my blood. Save her. It's all my fault." Hypocritical. If she hadn't called Michael away, would I be in this situation? Immediately following was Michael's anxious voice of refusal. "No, Chloe, your body is already weak. How can we take your blood?" How truly touching. My heart died completely at that moment. I forced a smile that was more painful than crying. It turned out that in his heart, Chloe's body was more important than my life. In the end, the hospital's blood bank saved my life. I went through hell to give birth to a son, Sam. After Sam was born, I was wheeled back to the ward, too weak to even open my eyes. The phone rang. It was Michael. I thought he finally had a pang of conscience and remembered me and the child. As soon as I answered the phone, his urgent voice came. "Do you have diapers prepared for newborns there? Leo needs them urgently. Can you bring me a few?" I was trembling with anger, and roared with all my strength, "Michael, I just gave birth. I had a massive hemorrhage. You're calling me now to ask for diapers for Chloe's son?" There was silence on the other end of the phone for a few seconds, then an impatient tone. Okay, you get some rest." Not a word of concern, not a word of greeting. My son Sam and I seemed like insignificant background scenery in his life. David, the kind person who brought me to the hospital, hadn't left. He paid all my hospitalization fees for me and thoughtfully hired a nurse for me. I don't know how to thank him. He just smiled and said, "It was just a small favor. You need to rest now." I asked him to contact my parents. Mom and Dad took a flight overnight to rush over. Seeing my pale face and the untouched food on the bedside table, Mom burst into tears on the spot. "My silly daughter, how could you torment yourself like this?" Then, the phone hung up. I told them the whole story from beginning to end. Dad was trembling with anger and wanted to find Michael to settle the score right then and there, but Mom stopped him. The most important thing right now is your health, child. We'll take care of everything else slowly. Mom hugged me, her voice choked with sobs. With my parents here, the stone that was hanging in my heart finally fell to the ground. I've made up my mind. I'm getting a divorce as soon as I'm discharged from the hospital. I don't want to stay a single day longer with this kind of man, in this kind of marriage. After David learned of my decision, he quietly helped me complete the discharge procedures. He also told me some things I didn't know. It turned out that Michael and Chloe had met through some kind of outdoor club long ago. Michael often used overtime as an excuse, but he was actually spending time with Chloe and her son Leo. Michael even posted updates on InstaChat, their little circle social media app, saying that I was a boring old woman who didn't understand his spiritual pursuits at all, and that Chloe was his soulmate. He even complained that my figure was out of shape after pregnancy, saying that I was not worthy of him, this promising young talent. David accidentally saw these chat records and dynamic screenshots from a friend he and Michael knew in common. He hesitated for a long time before deciding to tell me. I'm sorry, Sarah, I don't know if I should let you see this. David handed me the phone, his eyes filled with sympathy. I looked at those unbearable words, the ambiguous teasing from Michael's friends under the photos of Michael and me, and his default replies and smugness. The 3 years of love I thought we had was just a one-person show. He had already betrayed me in spirit, and possibly even physically. The day I was discharged from the hospital, the sun was dazzling. Michael held Leo and appeared at the hospital entrance with Chloe, accompanied by a few of his cronies. They seemed to be there to pick up Chloe and Leo from the hospital. Michael was stunned when he saw me. Chloe immediately put on a pitiful expression, shrank behind Michael, and said timidly, Sister Sarah, are you okay? It's all my fault. I shouldn't have bothered Brother Michael. Acting, keep acting. Michael's friends also started to jeer. Oh, isn't this Michael's first wife? Why do you look so pale? I heard she had a postpartum hemorrhage. Michael, you have to make it up to her. Don't favor one over the other. That's right. Chloe is having a hard time raising the child alone. Michael, you are so loving. My stomach churned. Every sentence was laced with sarcasm, stabbing my heart like needles. I took a deep breath, walked up to Michael, looked him straight in the eye, and said, word by word, Michael, let's get divorced. Michael acted as if he had heard the biggest joke in the world. Divorce? Sarah, are you crazy? You just had a baby. Is your mind not clear? I am very clear-headed, I said coldly. I have never been so clear-headed. Tomorrow at 9 in the morning, at the entrance of City Hall, be there or be square. Having said that, I stopped looking at him and turned to leave. My parents supported me, and David helped me with my luggage. Behind me came Michael's exasperated voice, Sarah, stop right there. Explain yourself. And then there was Chloe's weak, watery voice, Brother Michael, don't be angry. Sister Sarah must be confused for a moment. I didn't turn my head. Confused? I was confused for 3 years, and now I'm finally awake. The next day, City Hall, my parents were with me, and Sam was sleeping soundly in my mother's arms. Michael really came, but he didn't come alone. Beside him was Chloe, dressed to the nines, and in Chloe's hand was her son, Leo. Seeing Sam, Michael's eyes showed a flicker of complexity, which then turned cold and hard. He didn't even step forward to hug his own biological son. I held Sam, and my heart grew colder with each passing moment. Michael, I've already drafted the divorce agreement. Take a look, and if there are no problems, sign it. I handed him the documents. He didn't even look at it and threw it directly on the ground. Sarah, are you sure you want to do this? Do you know how much a divorce will affect my career? His tone was threatening. What does your career have to do with me? I retorted. Chloe hypocritically from the side, Sister Sarah, don't be impulsive. Brother Michael still cares about you very much. After all, you still have children. Shut up. I shouted sharply. You have no right to speak here. Chloe was so frightened by me that she shivered, and her eyes immediately turned red as she looked at Michael with aggrieved feelings. Michael pulled Chloe into his arms and glared at me. Sarah, have you made enough trouble? Since you insist on a divorce, fine, I'll grant it to you. He paused, a cruel smile on his face. Not only that, but I'm going to register our marriage with Chloe here today. I want to show you that I'll be better off without you. He actually wants to marry another woman on the same day he divorces me, right after I gave birth? How can he be so shameless, so impatient? My parents were also stunned. My father was trembling with anger and pointed at Michael, cursing, "You beast, you're not even human." "Dad, don't waste your breath on this kind of person." I pulled back my agitated father, my heart as cold as ashes. Just then, an angry female voice came, "Michael, you bastard, how dare you do this behind my back?" A woman, dressed flamboyantly but with a face full of anger, rushed in, followed by two burly men. The woman pointed at Chloe and cursed, "You bitch, seducing my husband, and you want to move in? Dream on." Chloe's face turned pale instantly, and she trembled behind Michael. Michael was also a little flustered. Why are you here? Why am I here? If I hadn't come, I wouldn't know you were doing such a thing." The woman roared, turned to me, and her tone softened slightly. "Madam, don't be fooled by this bitch and this scumbag. I am Chloe's legal husband. She not only cheated on me during our marriage, but also abused my children and ran away with a large sum of my money." "Chloe, married? That woman, is she Chloe's husband?" "No, judging by the looks of it, he's either her ex-husband or a husband she's in the process of divorcing." She said Chloe abused the child, embezzled money? There's too much information. I can't process it all at once. My parents were dumbfounded too. "What?" I simply couldn't believe my ears. "You're talking nonsense," Chloe screamed. "You're the one who abused me. You treated me badly. That's why I ran away with Leo." "Domestic violence?" the woman sneered. "I have plenty of evidence. It's you who has been using Leo as what? Using him to gain sympathy. And now you want to use him as a bargaining chip to marry this idiot?" Michael's face turned pale and then flushed. He looked at Chloe, then at the woman, clearly also stunned. "Michael, let me explain. It's not like this." Chloe hurriedly tried to tug on Michael's sleeve. Michael shook her off as if avoiding a plague. "Enough," Michael roared, pointing at Chloe. "How much more are you hiding from me?" A divorce unexpectedly turned into a farce exposing the mistress's true colors. Looking at the chaotic scene before me, I felt nothing but irony. This is the man I once deeply loved, and this is the soulmate he always longed for. What? I was completely dumbfounded. I calmly said to Michael, "Michael, we must get divorced today. As for the farce between you and her, I'm not interested." I picked up the divorce agreement from the ground and handed it back to him. "Sign it." Under the watchful eyes of that woman and the people she brought, and amidst the strange gazes of the people around us, Michael finally signed. Stepping out of City Hall, the sunlight was still blinding, but I knew that my life, from this moment on, would be different. After the divorce, I moved to another city with Sam and my parents. I needed a fresh start, away from those unbearable people and things. I used the savings I had accumulated from working for a few years to open a small online store selling baby and maternity products. I took care of Sam during the day and stayed up late at night to select products, add new items, and respond to customers. Although it's hard, I feel full of strength every day when I look at Sam's cute sleeping face and see the online store orders gradually increasing. David occasionally greets me through FaceSpace and gives me some advice on running an online store. He is a very good person, but I don't have the mind to consider relationship issues right now. I just want to raise Sam well and give myself and my child a stable future. About half a year later, I went to a large supermarket to shop. In the fresh food section, I unexpectedly saw a figure who was familiar yet unfamiliar. It was Michael. He was very thin, with a scruffy beard, wearing a wrinkled t-shirt, and his eyes were dull. He was arguing with someone wearing a supermarket uniform, and it looked like he was applying for a job or demanding unpaid wages. The once high-spirited and promising young talent is now as down and out as a street vagrant. I was about to sneak away, not wanting to have anything to do with him. Suddenly, a shrill female voice rang out, "Michael, have you no shame? You can't even handle this little thing." I was really blind to have fallen for you back then. She was dressed in glamorous clothes, carrying the latest designer bag, but her face was mean-spirited. She rebuked Michael mercilessly. "I told you to get a decent job at Anderson Group. What have you been doing? Now you're reduced to working odd jobs at the supermarket? Do you think I can live this kind of life with you? I'm telling you, Michael, we're over. I never loved you. I was only with you because you still had some use then, to help me get rid of that abusive man. Now you're nothing. Get out of my sight." After Chloe finished speaking, she glared at Michael with disgust, and walked away arrogantly in her high heels. Michael stood there, his face pale, his body swaying. He saw me, and his eyes were filled with shock, shame, and a hint of pleading. I pushed the shopping cart expressionlessly and walked past him as if I hadn't seen him. A person like him is not worth another glance from me. This is the true love he chose, even at the cost of abandoning his wife and children. From that day on, Michael started to harass me like crazy. He somehow got my new phone number and address. He sends me dozens of messages every day, the content of which is nothing more than repentance, apology, begging for my forgiveness, and begging me to remarry him. He said he knew he was wrong, said Chloe was a liar, and that he was blinded by greed. He said he has nothing now, only me and Sam. Any response to this kind of man is a waste of time. Seeing that I ignored him, he started to get worse. He would suddenly appear at my door, or when I took Sam to the park. It was Chloe. He knelt down and begged me, crying, saying he would change. He would be good to me and Sam. My parents kicked him out every time. I told him, Michael, we're over. Sam doesn't need a father like you. But he was like a madman and wouldn't listen at all. Until one day, I discovered that Sam was missing. That day, I was in the kitchen preparing lunch, and I left Sam playing with building blocks in the living room. It was only about 10 minutes, but when I came out, the living room was empty, and Sam was gone. I was stunned at that moment. My heart felt like it was being tightly clenched by an invisible hand, and I could barely breathe. I rushed out of the house like crazy, shouting Sam's name and searching everywhere. What a great irony. The neighbors said they saw a man carrying a crying child leaving in a hurry, and the description of his appearance was Michael. It's him. He actually stole my child. I immediately called the police and at the same time mobilized all the connections I could think of to search. Those few hours felt like a trip through hell. Finally, the police found Michael and Sam in an abandoned bus station. Sam cried his heart out. His little face flushed red. I didn't reply to a single one. Michael hugged Sam. When he saw me, his eyes darted away, but he kept trying to explain. Sarah, I just missed Sam. I wanted to be alone with him for a while. I wouldn't hurt him. I rushed over and snatched Sam from his arms, holding him tightly in my embrace. Sam sensed my presence, and his crying gradually subsided, his little hands clutching my clothes tightly. I looked at Michael, my eyes as cold as ice, without a trace of warmth. Michael, you are hopeless. Do you think you can force me to turn back by using this method? I'm telling you, it's impossible. I'd rather Sam have no father than have a scum like you as his father. From now on, if you dare to get close to Sam and me again, I will absolutely not let you off. The police took Michael away, took a statement, and warned him not to harass us again. After this incident, I completely lost hope in Michael and became even more determined to protect Sam, to give Sam a better life and educational environment, and to completely get rid of Michael's shadow. I decided to accept a job in another big city. That's a new tech company, and the boss is called Mr. Anderson, who is said to have started his own business after leaving the Apex Group. The job content is my forte in marketing, and the salary is also considerable. The only thing that makes me hesitate is that the surname Mr. Anderson reminds me of the Anderson Group that Chloe mentioned when she humiliated Michael at the supermarket. But the world is so big. There are many people with the same surname. It should just be a coincidence. I said goodbye to my parents with Sam and embarked on a new journey. At the new company, I worked very hard and quickly gained the appreciation of Mr. Anderson. He was a middle-aged man in his 40s, mature and steady, with a good business sense, but he always gave me an unspeakable sense of oppression. Until one day, outside Mr. Anderson's private office, I accidentally overheard a fierce argument between him and another woman. That woman's voice was sharp and familiar. Anderson, you can't do this to me. I've given up so much for you. You promised you would marry me. Chloe's voice was filled with sobs and unwillingness. Marry you? Chloe, you think too highly of yourself. Mr. Anderson's voice was cold and ruthless. You're just one of my many playthings. Now that I'm tired of playing with you, you should be sensible and leave on your own. You liar. You said you loved me, said you would give Leo and me a home. Home? I lost that a long time ago. As for Leo, I'm not even sure if he's my kid. Mr. Anderson laughed contemptuously. Do you think I don't know your tricks? You'd do anything for money. You even use your own son as a bargaining chip. Truly an eye-opener for me. I'm going to fight you. Chloe screamed. The sound of fighting and breaking things came from the office. I was so scared that I quickly hid. It turned out that after being dumped by Michael, Chloe hooked up with Mr. Anderson. And Mr. Anderson was the person from the Anderson Group she mentioned at the supermarket. This world is sometimes so small. A few days later, I heard that Chloe was kicked out by Mr. Anderson and left with nothing. Later, I saw a report on the news. An abandoned baby was found next to a garbage dump on the edge of the city. Beside the abandoned baby was only a small backpack containing a few old clothes and a note that read, "Leo, Mom is sorry." It's Leo. Chloe actually abandoned Leo. I felt an indescribable sadness. Leo is innocent. Through some channels, I contacted the relevant departments, anonymously provided some help that Leo might need, and sent him to the local children's welfare institution. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, but I really can't stand by and do nothing. After some time, I received a call from an unknown number. On the other end of the phone was a police officer. He said that Michael had an accident. After being abandoned by Mr. Anderson, Chloe spent her days drinking. One night, she drove drunk and hit someone. The person hit was Michael. It's Chloe. Michael had both legs amputated, suffered multiple internal injuries, and was in critical condition. Chloe was sentenced to less than 3 years in prison for drunk driving and fleeing the scene. The police contacted me because Michael, when he was conscious, kept mentioning my name and Sam's name, saying he wanted to see us one last time. I hesitated for a long time, but finally took Sam to the hospital. Michael on the hospital bed, his face like gold paper, haggard, was no longer the same as he used to be. Seeing me and Sam, a glimmer of light suddenly burst out in his cloudy eyes. He reached out a trembling hand, wanting to touch Sam's face, but it fell weakly halfway. "Sarah." "Sam." His voice was weak, barely a whisper. "I'm sorry, really, I'm sorry." Tears streamed from the corners of his eyes. "Chloe, she's a liar. She ran off with all my money, and left me with a mountain of usurious loans. I was so badly cheated by her, so badly," he said intermittently, his tone filled with regret and despair. If I could do it again, I would definitely treat you all better." After saying this, his head tilted, and he closed his eyes forever. I looked at him, my heart filled with mixed feelings. There was no imagined pleasure, nor the slightest pity. He ruined his life step by himself. Sam is still young and doesn't understand what death is. He just looked at Michael curiously and whispered to me, "Mommy, is Uncle asleep?" I hugged Sam tightly and nodded. "Yes, he's asleep, sleeping very, very soundly." Michael's funeral was simple. Only his elderly parents and a few old friends attended. Those friends who once ridiculed me now look at me with complex expressions. Not long after Michael died, Mr. Anderson also had an accident. He was arrested by the police on suspicion of multiple charges, including domestic violence, illegal detention, trafficking in women and children, and tax evasion. The business empire he painstakingly built collapsed overnight. It is said that one of his ex-lovers, unable to endure his control and abuse, collected a large amount of evidence and reported him with her real name. In the end, there is still justice in this world. As for Chloe, I later heard that she went insane in prison. She would cry and laugh, constantly muttering about money, mansions, Leo, Michael, and Anderson, and was eventually diagnosed with schizophrenia and sent to a mental hospital. Her ending can be considered a fitting punishment for her crimes. All the grievances and love affairs gradually settled down as time passed. I settled down in a new city with Sam and my parents. My online store business is getting better and better, and I have also expanded into several new categories. The income is enough to support our family's life, and even have a surplus. I signed Sam up for early education classes, and on weekends I take him to parks, playgrounds, and museums. Watching Sam grow up day by day, healthy, happy, and sensible, I feel that everything I have done is worth it. I am no longer the woman who needs to depend on men to survive. I have my own career, a lovely son, and parents who love me. I use my own hands to support myself and my family. Occasionally, I think of Michael in the dead of night, remembering the brief sweetness we once shared, remembering his subsequent betrayal and indifference, remembering his repentance before his death. But all that is in the past. I have emerged from that gloom, and what awaits me is a future full of sunshine and hope. It turns out that without a man, I can not only survive, but also live well, and live even more wonderfully. Sam giggled in the living room, chasing the dust motes dancing in the sunlight. I watched him, the corners of my mouth turning up involuntarily. This is the happiness I want. Simple, and real.